Good afternoon, and welcome to another segment of the Werff Report for July 10th. Keep America vigilant. 23. Schooled. Mike Pence is schooled on his role in helping Joe Biden fraudulently take office by an American patriot. The missing Biden crime family whistleblower, who was arrested in Cyprus, resurfaces in a new video where he reveals that the same FBI agent he disclosed the Biden family crimes to, well before the 2020 election, was the same agent who seized Hunter Biden's laptop from the computer repair shop, as he names the Clinton Foundation as being connected. The Biden regime appeals the social media censorship ruling. The D.C. Bar Committee recommends disbarring Rudy Giuliani for pursuing the truth about the 2020 election. Tucker Carlson reveals that the chief of police at the Capitol told him that the January 6th crowd was, quote, filled with federal agents. Ben & Jerry's betrays America on the 4th of July, and Marjorie Taylor Greene has apparently been ousted from the House Freedom Caucus. First, to the corrupt D.C. Bar Association, where a 3-member panel consisting of 2 D.C. attorneys and 1 resident issued a 38-page decision concluding that, quote, by prosecuting that destructive case, Mr. Giuliani, a sworn officer of the court, forfeited his right to practice law. Actually, that's not how it works. Giuliani is challenging the decision, and the final decision on disbarment will be made by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. More political persecution, folks, and they're going after everyone who dares to question the fraudulent 2020 election. Next to Tucker Carlson, who recently sat down with Russell Brand for an interview and disclosed that he had interviewed the chief of police who was at the Capitol on January 6th and in charge of security that day. Tucker Carlson stated, quote, I interviewed the chief of the Capitol Police, Stephen Sund, in an interview that was never aired on Fox, by the way. I was fired before it could air. And quote, I mean, this was not some right-wing activist. He was the chief of the Capitol Police on January 6th, and he said, oh yeah, that crowd was filled with federal agents. And more, quote, as time passed, it became more and more obvious that the core claims they made about January 6th were lies. Carlson said he would be interviewing the chief again, probably so he could actually air the footage this time, since the last one likely belongs to Fox. As we all know, the events of January 6th were orchestrated by our corrupted government, whose goal was twofold. First, to create an emergency that would thwart the presentation of 2020 election fraud evidence during the vote certification that was planned for that day, so the public would not get to see it, and so they could hurriedly certify the fraudulent election. The second was to attack Trump supporters and persecute them so viciously, supporters who are still rotting in the D.C. gulag for simply entering the Capitol that day, to send a message to anyone who dare rise against this fraudulent administration. They wanted to scare the public so they would never even think of rising up as Americans should. Speaking of treason, Ben & Jerry's tweeted on the 4th of July, quote, the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land. This 4th of July, let's commit to returning it. In a reader's context label placed on the tweet by Twitter, users stated, quote, despite Ben & Jerry's supposed commitment to returning land they feel was stolen, they have yet to reach out to the tribe whose land their headquarters is on and arrange a return of the land to them. Another boycott is in order, folks. Their ice cream was never that great anyway. Traitors. Which reminds me, Mike Pence was epically scolded in Iowa last week by a voter who told him that if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Joe Biden in the White House. Take a look.
If it wasn't for your vote, we would not have Joe Biden in the White House.
Right.
Joe Biden shouldn't be there. And all those wonderful things that you and Trump were doing together would be continuing, and this country would be on the right path. Do you ever second guess yourself? That was a constitutional right that you had to send those votes back to the states.
The Constitution of the United States, in Article 2, says the job of the Vice President is to serve as the presiding officer of a joint session where you open and count the votes. Don't take my word for it. Go read the Constitution. Not really. I say this with great affection and respect. The Constitution is very clear. My job was to oversee a session of Congress where objections could be heard And I made sure that objections would be recognized, so we would hear whatever evidence or whether debate there was. But the Constitution says you open and count the votes, no more, no less. The Constitution affords no authority for the Vice President or anyone else to reject votes or return votes to the states. Never been done before, should never be done in the future. I'm sorry, ma'am, but that's actually what the Constitution says. No Vice President in American history ever asserted the authority that you have been convinced that I had. But I want to tell you, with all due respect, I said when I announced, President Trump was wrong about my authority that day, and he's still wrong.
God bless that lady, folks. She was exactly right, and Pence's explanation was clearly one big lie. We previously reported on how precedent exists for the votes to be sent back to the states, as well as the constitutional use of dueling electors. But they used the emergency of January 6th to rush the certification of the 2020 election to avoid that, and it was criminal. Next, to previously missing Biden crime family whistleblower Dr. Gal Luft, who created a video telling all. He called the Biden family crimes, quote, systemic influence peddling, and says he is, quote, patient zero of the Biden family investigations. He says he was arrested in Cyprus under a false indictment to stop him from testifying to Congress about what he knows, since he is considered a highly credible source who was an advisor to CEFC Energy, the Chinese company who paid Hunter Biden millions. In the video, Luft names the FBI agent whom he made detailed disclosures to back in 2019 regarding the Biden family crimes well before they came out in the Hunter Biden laptop. And that same agent was the one who seized Hunter's laptop from the computer repair shop. He also connected the Clinton Foundation along with a foreign nonprofit to the story, and explains how he exposed a DOJ mole with only one eye that showed classified information to Hunter Biden and his Chinese partners. He also explains how that if he were to testify in the U.S., they would prevent him from saying the word Biden in his testimony. Take a look, folks. This is damning. From this point on, we're not allowed to say or show you what we're about to on this platform, or will almost certainly be punished for it. For those of you that have been with us from the beginning, you know that YouTube had previously labeled our content as, quote, harmful to the public, and nearly banned us permanently on at least 2 separate occasions. So please, join us for the rest of this segment at thewerfreport.com, where we can say exactly what we want without fear of censorship, suppression, or the banning of our account for only $6.99 a month or $49.99 a year. You can also make a one-time donation by clicking the donation link in the description of this video. And for all the trolls out there who don't like our business model, no need to comment. Just keep scrolling. We clearly have our reasons. For everyone else, your support helps us do what we do. See you there. God bless you all. God bless President Trump, and God bless America.